My first guest tonight, I have great admiration for. He's an outstanding performer, an Oscar winner, a sportsman, knows a lot about horses. He's starring in a new motion picture called Casey's Shadow, which will be opening, had wonderful reviews. It's opening at theaters around the country at Easter time. Would you welcome, please, Mr. Walter Matthau. Thank you. Well, that's what I like. See, guys normally don't do that.
The reason I'm so effusive tonight is I was going to New York and last week,
right?
And Joey Bishop was sitting next to me.
Right.
And he said, I saw you on The Tonight Show, and he said, let me give you a couple of words of advice. He says, you walk on, you don't look like you want to be on the show. That's no good. Oh. He says, you go on the show, look like you want to be there. Say hello to everybody. Laugh, smile. You know, once you do it, get in it. Be in it. Do it. I mean, don't come on half-hearted and lay back and
like
say, well,
I'm
a big dramatic star and somebody is pushing me. Get out there and be on the show and do it. And that's that is good advice. I feel much better now.
Now, can I ask you one question?
Yes.
Was that acting, or were you really...
This is the way I feel. But you see, I lay back because I become a horse...
That's a medical term. That's all right.
It's a medical term. Well, I'm in this horse picture, Casey's Shadow. By the way, I didn't finish what I wanted to say.
No, you didn't.
If I am usually very effusive. When I see a beautiful person, I want to just grab him, kiss him, and say, hello, how are you? If I know them, you know. Right. If I don't know them, then I don't. You could get arrested.
Yes, that's asking for trouble.
Yeah, but I want to express myself,
and
when I became an actor because I can't express myself.
True.
And when I come out, and I am crazy about you,
well, I'm
crazy about Doc.
But most people are afraid to show emotion. For example, I'll tell you something. Ricardo Montalban, being Latin, of course, is almost built in. But it's very comfortable when he comes up and he sees you and it's, hello, Johnny, and you embrace. And for a moment, you're a little, you draw back. But he means it because people, especially men, they're not supposed to touch or say, gee, it's good to see you, or how are you? Put your arm around each other. It's like a lack of masculinity, which it's not.
That's right.
Men should have a certain amount of tenderness, right? Sure. Right. Be able to say that, how are you? I love you. A little kiss on the cheek can't hurt. Can't hurt.
I was watching the animal thing you were doing, and they were wonderful. There was somebody in the green room said, well, penguins, the only reason they do it 3 minutes a year is because who can do it in a tuxedo?
That's right. And would you want to leave your zipper open at 20 below zero? It's probably a lot of different conditions.
And then the cannons roar, and that's the
alligators?
The mating call of the alligator. I was once in a play, and I had to open in Philadelphia, and I hadn't worked in about 2.5 years. And my opening line, they said, look, do you want to be in you have one line. You open the show. The curtain goes up, and you say the line. It's, hark, I think I hear the cannons roar. And so I said, well, what does it pay? They said $2.50, and I said, well, I'll take it. I haven't worked in 2 years. I got on the train for Philadelphia, and I practiced this line all the way. Hark, I think I hear the cannons roar. Hark, I think I hear the cannons roar. Hark, I hear the cannon. Hark, I hear. Hark. I got out there and I was nervous. And the guy says, you know your lines and everything. They put on the makeup, they gave me the costume, they got out. And the curtain went up, and suddenly the sound effects, there was an enormous cannon's roar. And I said, what the hell was that?
I'll buy that. We have to take a break, but I'll read you. We're coming right back, because I want to read your press releases here. We were talking about something I want to follow up on during the commercial. Now I forgot what it was. Horses. Did we get into horses yet?
Well, wait a minute. My wife told me not to talk about 4 things.
Oh. Did she give you instructions, Carol, when you go on?
She told me not to talk about gambling.
No gambling, all right.
Told me not to talk about my childhood on the Lower East Side because, people especially critics, pick it up and they say, oh, he's from the Lower East Side. He was a pushcart peddler. He sold soft drinks on the Lower East Side off a pushcart, so he can't play Hamlet, right?
So that's out.
And don't talk about my physical condition, all my operations and so forth.
Operations are
and
out.
don't talk about bowel movements.
I remember you.
She said, those are the 4 things. So, well, what is there to talk about?
Good night, Walter.
Should we?
Thank you.
Can we talk about...
Now, I noticed you brought this envelope in.
Oh, by the way,
Yes.
this is an envelope full of reviews, about 75 reviews on Casey's Shadow.
You have no shame at all, huh?
And all brilliant. I'm not going to read any of them, of course, but they are all brilliant, with the exception of 2. And what do they know? No, wait a minute. You know that Dick Benjamin was here a few weeks ago.
Right.
And you said, Matthau's a very funny guy.
Right.
And he said, terrible. And Dick Benjamin's a pal of mine, and this was his way of being affectionate. And he said, terrible. You know what he does? And I think it got the wrong impression because several people mentioned it to me, and I mentioned it to Benjamin, and he is distraught. I mean,
he said that you did various things while you were working together.
Yes, and I did. Now, I'll tell you why I dropped my pants off camera when I was playing a scene with George Burns. Burns hadn't done a movie in 30 years or thereabouts, right. And he was very, understandably so, apprehensive. And the first thing he did was he blew a line. The next thing I did was drop my pants and bend over.
You mooned, as they say?
I mooned. And Burns took a look at me and went absolutely into a fit of marvelous, restrained laughter. It relaxed him terrifically, and he was able to go from there. I mean, the sight of my behind made him realize that practically nothing was worth getting uptight about.
That could solve the whole world's problems, you know.
And I do the cross
when people are working.
When people are working to relax them. Now, if someone says that guy is trying to, he's trying to upset you, or what he's trying to do, he's trying to make himself look good. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite.
Yeah, it's to relax the other party.
If someone doesn't like it, well, I stop.
Right.
You know. But my God, that's one of the most normal things. And I find that when you tend to get too generous, sometimes it backfires.
Yeah.
Sometimes it backfires.
Speaking, I mentioned before you came out, the couple of reviews I have seen about the picture are excellent. And you do work with a quarter horse, right, in this picture. And Doc, raises quarter horses.
You do?
Yeah, I've had horses run up there at Ruidoso.
Really?
Yep.
Have you had any that qualified for the big race?
No, I haven't, but that's my life's ambition. You know, they run for $1 million up there.
Yeah. Do you know why they run for $1 million? They, all these rich Texans and Oklahomans, and some of them not so rich, they keep putting money in the kitty. As soon as a horse is born, they put in some money in the kitty. Then at another stage, they put in some more money. And the money swells, and the kitty rises. And finally, they are going to run for $1 million, $330,000 to the winner, and about $27,000 to the horse that finishes 10th and last.
Right. And they run a quarter of a mile.
Yes, but there are 22 races, and the best 10 trial times are the horses that are entered in the big race at Ruidoso. And it's a marvelous thing.
Have you ever invested in a horse? Investing in a horse is about as risky a venture as, well, the odds, of course, are astronomical, and yet the fact that you might hit once, I think, is what keeps people
Well, I was asked to invest. I had some horses with Howard Koch, and I was asked to invest in a horse. He called me one day, and he said, our trainer wants to sell a horse for $6,000, $3,000 a piece.
Thinking about?
Yeah. And I said, Howard, I don't want to invest in any more horses. I'm through with owning horses. There's something about owning horses that is bothering me at the moment, and I don't want to do it. And
so he went to another actor, did he not?
He said, do you mind if I get Telly Savalas to be a partner, because I'm working with him now? I said, no. And so they each put in $3,000. The horse was Telly's Pop, and it won $375,000 the first 6 times it ran.
Were you able to stop the flow of blood from the wrists in time? Obviously you were.
Actually, if I may say so, I was quite happy not being part of that, because I would have felt so guilty that I would have blown $500,000 just to balance the inner books.
The thing that's 3,000.
I felt irritatingly, astonishingly remorseful for the man that sold the horse for that cheap an amount. He needed the money at the time.
Yeah.
And if there's
How long would your guilt have lasted, do you think?
Oh, it would still be with me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my problems. But doing the horse thing down in Louisiana with the Cajuns, the Cajun accent is magnificent. Some of the critics picked it up and said Matthau uses New York in this rather than Louisiana. They don't quite understand that there is a great deal of similarity between Louisiana, New Orleans, and New York. But New York is modified in articulation, so that
Cajun country is French mixed background.
Cajun comes from Acadian, and Acadian is that portion of Canada where the French dissidents landed some 400 years ago, and then they found some religious and political persecution in Acadia, and so they moved further south to South Louisiana. And what they say, for example, is toity-toid.
Toity-toid.
No, toity-toid. You're giving it New York.
I'm giving it toity-toid to New York.
Yeah, that's modified. That's 33rd. Guy went down to 33rd Street, and he was sitting on a curb there.
Curb, right.
That's New York. But Louisiana is curb there. He's sitting on a curb at toity-toid.
Toity-toid is the curb.
That is more articulated disintegration of speech.
Right.
And there was one guy who stopped me and he said, excuse me, sir, my name is Morgan Goudeau. I'm the district attorney here at Opelousas County.
Goudeau spelled Goudeaux, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Right?
and he said, I'm the district attorney. I'd like to invite you over to the house on Friday night for some kosher gumbo.
Kosher gumbo?
Kosher gumbo.
Kosher gumbo.
And I said, oh, kosher gumbo. I said, are you Jewish fellow? He said, sure. He said, I'm the rabbi too. And that's the way he talked there, you know. They talk like that. That's the way they talk.
Toity-toid on a coib.
Toity-toid. It's articulated in articulation or modification of speech.
You know, we haven't shown the film clip. We've been talking about the picture. Does this need a little setup? I don't know what the particular scene is.
It's the scene where a very rich horsewoman wants to give me a large amount of money to buy a horse that isn't quite proven but appears to have enormous potential.
Right.
And it's Alexis Smith and Andrew Rubin, who plays my son, and myself. And I think the rest will become clear.
All right. Here's a small clip.
This your son?
Yes, ma'am. That's my oldest boy, Lloyd Jr. We call him Buddy.
Ma'am. I understand you're near as good a trainer as your dad. You want to come to work for me?
Oh, anytime, yes, ma'am. Would you like a beer?
Oh, no, thanks, Buddy, nothing.
Bring me one.
I understand you have one of Surehead's colts, one we didn't know about?
Oh, that's correct.
And that he has some speed.
Well, he's real young yet.
You bringing him to Rio Dawson?
I might be.
You speaking for the owner?
Yes, ma'am. I have a percentage and control through Labor Day.
Then you are coming.
Well, most likely.
Yeah, well, I'd like to buy him.
Not until after the All-American.
I'll pay you $50,000 outright today, right now.
50,000 for a colt never run a race?
I'll give you a personal check for the entire amount.
He's not for sale just yet. Not just yet, Miss Blue. He's not for sale right now.
But, we'd sell you an option on him.
For how much?
5,000. Against the purchase price to be negotiated.
I assume that's all right with you?
With me, yes, ma'am. That's all right. You bet. Yes, ma'am. That's fine. Fine. Just...
Dad.
I love your house.
That's for sale right now.
See you in Redosa.
Good. Sam, you're a good actor. Good to watch you work.
Do you notice the black wig that I'm wearing and the
Just a-
lopsided mustache?
Little bit just off the...
That's a joke. That's facetious. A lot of critics bring that up. Matthau sporting a black wig and a lopsided mustache. It was a real mustache, and this is my hair.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. What are you going to do? I'm 78 years old, and I still got black hair. Won't turn gray. How do you do it?
Oh, you just have... You got to get out in the sun a lot. We'll do this. We'll be right back. We are back. That's right. You mentioned in the early days when you wanted to get work. You know, you would go do a line, be an extra. Were you ever an extra where you had no lines at all in the early days, just where you appeared in a scene?
I walked out on stage for Mr. Roberts.
With Hank Fonda? When he was on?
I walked out on stage for a walk-on, and there were about 50 guys. They were all much better looking than I was, and they all had magnificent suits, and they all carried themselves with regal carriage, and as we all walked up in line up on stage, there was Josh Logan and Henry Fonda and Leland Hayward, and somebody, I think it was Josh Logan, said, does everybody know that this is a walk-on? It pays $20 a week. It's just a walk-on. And if you didn't know that, it's okay to leave now. And being humiliated by that particular remark, I walked off stage. And I was the only one. And I was met at the stage door by a guy who said, Mr. Logan wants to see you. He has you in mind for one of the parts in the play, and sure enough, he did offer me something. I think it was Prepolovsky or something. I think Eli Wallach played it, but it was on the road.
You think it
was $90 a week.
You think he did that because you had the courage to say it, and this is...
No, I think it's the way I walked off the stage. I think I kind of ambled off. It's pretty hard to walk in a natural manner across stage. You can take anybody from the audience and ask them to walk across stage naturally. Just say, hey, just walk naturally.
Well, that's what does it right away, you see.
Don't know what to move first, you know.
See, if somebody wouldn't have said naturally, if they'd say, you just cross from the table and you go over there, that's all right. But when somebody says, now just do a natural walk, you put something in their head that they hadn't thought of.
Yeah.
How do I walk naturally, right?
Yeah. You know, the strangest thing happened down in where was it? In Ruidoso. We were betting a lot on the races, and there was a couple of guys that had about $500 apiece in the doubles. They bet the daily double, the first race and the second race.
Yeah, pick the winners.
And
right.
yeah, and they had two long shots. They had 50-to-1 shots, and it would have paid for what they had. It would have paid some $375,000. They had about 500 invested, and when the 50-to-1 shot came in the first race, one of the guys just fainted. He dropped, and he was just out, you know. And his friend, there was a crowd that gathered around, and his friend took his pulse and listened to his heart, and somebody said, is he alive? And he said, only in the doubles.
Oh, that's wonderful. Is he alive?
I think you got to be a horseplay at a
Yeah, that's
that story.
Right, are you comfortable? Well, I've got a few dollars put aside, right? That type of thing.
Yes.
Hey, thanks for being here tonight. Really,
Thank you very
Casey
much.
Shadow is a big hit, and I'm glad for you, as usual. And
Thank you.
Anytime you come here, you know.
And now I'm calling a race.
You're calling a race?
Yeah, I'm calling a race, and I have to tape it. And I have to call the race before it's run. It's a joke. It's for the Jockeys Fund. And
Let me hear your race calling voice. I always remember the
it's
guys
great.
at the track. They have that wonderful
It's dreadful.
sound.
What I do is I do an imitation of Clem McCarthy because I always loved.
Well, that's way down here, isn't it?
The native lands are on the outside, horsemen are on the rail, coming around the bend, and now they're neck and neck and head, and the crowd is out.
That's a finish if I ever heard it. Thanks, brother.